In this podcast episode, Scott Galloway, a prominent business professor and commentator, shares his insights on the upcoming U.S. election, the state of masculinity, and the implications of technology on society. Galloway opens the discussion by emphasizing the unique nature of the upcoming election, suggesting that it is more consequential than previous ones. He notes that both major parties have become polarized, with the far right presenting a vision of masculinity that is aggressive and provocative, while the far left promotes a more subdued, traditionally feminine approach. Galloway argues that this polarization could swing the election in favor of the right, as many young men feel alienated by the Democratic Party's focus on social justice issues that do not address their specific struggles. He expresses concern about the implications of a Trump victory, suggesting that it could lead to significant changes in policies affecting bodily autonomy and economic stability. Galloway points out that while America has endured worse political climates, the current state of division and tension is alarming. He believes that the election will ultimately be decided by who can present a more aspirational vision of masculinity, which could resonate more with young men who feel overlooked. A significant portion of Galloway's analysis focuses on the plight of young men in America. He highlights alarming statistics, such as the high rates of homelessness, suicide, and incarceration among men, particularly young men. Galloway argues that the Democratic Party has failed to address the needs of this demographic, which has led many to feel disenfranchised and more inclined to support the Republican Party. He emphasizes that while the party advocates for various demographic groups, young men are often left out of the conversation. Galloway's observations extend beyond mere statistics. He delves into the emotional and psychological ramifications of this neglect. He notes that many young men are struggling to find their place in a rapidly changing society, leading to feelings of worthlessness and isolation. This disconnect, he argues, is not only detrimental to the individuals involved, but also to society as a whole, as it fosters a sense of anger and resentment that can manifest in various harmful ways. Galloway reveals that he plans to bet $358,000 on the outcome of the election, specifically on Vice President Harris winning. He explains his rationale, stating that the odds on betting platforms suggested a favorable return on investment. Galloway's confidence in Harris stems from his belief that the enthusiasm among young women voters will outweigh the support for Trump among young men. He argues that the current political climate is ripe for a shift, and he sees Harris as a candidate who could galvanize support from those who feel marginalized. This bet also reflects Galloway's broader perspective on the election as a reflection of societal values. He believes that the outcome will not only determine the future of American politics, but also signal a shift in how masculinity and gender roles are perceived in society. Galloway discusses the profound impact of social media on political discourse and public perception. He notes that platforms like TikTok and Twitter have transformed the way politicians communicate with the public, often favoring sensationalism over substantive discussion. This shift has led to a culture where outrageous statements garner more attention than thoughtful policy discussions, making it challenging for candidates to engage in meaningful dialogue. He also highlights the role of algorithms in shaping public opinion, arguing that they often promote divisive content that exacerbates polarization. Galloway expresses concern that this trend could undermine democratic processes as people become more entrenched in their beliefs and less willing to engage with opposing viewpoints. He posits that the algorithms driving social media are not just tools for communication, but also weapons that can be used to manipulate public sentiment. Galloway also touches on the influence of technology on human relationships and social dynamics. He expresses concern that the rise of AI and digital interactions could lead to increased loneliness and isolation among young people. He argues that while technology offers convenience, it often replaces meaningful human connections with superficial interactions. He highlights the dangers of relying on technology for emotional fulfillment, suggesting that it could lead to a generation of individuals who struggle to form genuine relationships. Galloway emphasizes the importance of fostering real connections and engaging in the messy, challenging aspects of life that come with building relationships. He believes that the value of human interaction cannot be replicated by technology, and that society must prioritize authentic connections. Galloway argues that the Democratic Party has failed to connect with young men and address their concerns. He points out that the party's focus on social justice issues has often come at the expense of addressing the economic and emotional struggles faced by this demographic. He believes that the party needs to reevaluate its messaging and priorities to better resonate with young voters. He suggests that the Democratic Party should shift its focus from identity politics to a more inclusive approach that addresses the needs of all Americans, particularly those who feel left behind. Galloway argues that by doing so, the party could regain the support of young men and create a more unified political landscape. He emphasizes the importance of recognizing the struggles of all demographics, rather than prioritizing certain groups over others. Galloway also discusses the role of humor in politics, noting that it can be a powerful tool for connecting with voters. He argues that politicians who can effectively use humor to engage with their audience are often more successful in garnering support. He expresses frustration with the current political climate, where humor is often stifled by political correctness and outrage. He believes that a return to humor in political discourse could help bridge divides and foster a more open dialogue among voters. Galloway points out that humor can disarm tension and create a sense of camaraderie, making it easier for people to engage with difficult topics. He urges politicians to embrace humor as a way to connect with constituents and create a more inclusive political environment. Galloway continues by providing an overview of the current economic landscape, highlighting the disparities that exist within American society. He notes that while the economy is performing well on certain metrics, many individuals, particularly young men, are struggling to find their footing. He emphasizes that economic prosperity is not evenly distributed and that a significant portion of the population feels left behind. He argues that the government needs to address these disparities by implementing policies that support those who are struggling. Galloway believes that investing in education, job training, and mental health resources could help create a more equitable society. He stresses the importance of recognizing the economic challenges faced by young men and providing them with the tools they need to succeed. In conclusion, Galloway expresses cautious optimism about the future of young men in America. He acknowledges the challenges they face, but also highlighted the potential for growth and change. He believes that by addressing the needs of young men and fostering a more inclusive dialogue, society can create a brighter future for all. He urges listeners to recognize the importance of empathy and understanding in addressing the struggles faced by young men.